happened is, even though I am in Rajahmundry, I find in agriculture we don't have the agriculture university or the horticulture university, which is very, very close by, the fishery university. You need to be having partnerships and collaborations with everyone. In the inaugural we had, I was very lucky to hear Dr. Jitendra Sharma, who voiced on innovation, which is very, very inclusive. So the words are inclusiveness, convergent sciences, and bringing some healing magic to some of the challenges we face at societal level. In today's session, we are very lucky, and I think I am very lucky to be able to be sort of introducing people. So we have keynote speaker Dr. Ramanathan, coming from the industry, and as I was saying, he is a non-agriculture person working in the ag industry, which itself is great. Which is great because it shows us the whole diverseness which comes, and diversity which brings unity into it. We have a person like Dr. Jagdish, who comes with basic science as his elemental fruit, working on at genomic level, but coming up with ideas which he has been able to take it off as a company. That's something new for the public sector. We have Dr. Harini Kumar from US, Bangalore, which has been, and Bangalore is definitely one of the Silicon Valleys in India, and it has been spearheading definitely his incubation center with their experiences, how they have been able to nurture. And finally, Dr. Ishwariya, who is like me an agriculture student, but turned into a professional career, and now is in one of the premier institutes, which is amalgamation of many sciences. So the ethos is multidisciplinary approach, bringing up teams, people-centered research, and taking it to the society. If we can do this, I think India can definitely be a leader as a food secure, nutrition secure, climate resilient country. With these opening remarks, I take this privilege of inviting Dr. Ramanathan to share his and present his ideas with his experience in the industry and how industry can partner with to solve some of our problems as we embark on Viksit Bharat 2047.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Kalpana, for that introduction. How many students have touched with agriculture?
Nobody from agriculture?
Back.
I am from agriculture.
No, don't be disheartened other people, because I did not come from pure agriculture like the chairperson said. I did a BSc in zoology, and then that was actually with the thinking that I will actually go to medicine after completing BSc, because I could not get into medicine after finishing my higher secondary course.
So you were lucky to have that your pharmacy, health and social.
Okay. Sure. And as luck would have it, after I finished my first year of BSc, that quota for medical seat was eliminated. Right? So I had no clue as to what I will do. And I didn't sweat. I took whatever came my way and made it work. I think that has helped me. Instead of us actually getting fixated even before we have clarity in our minds as to what to do, you let yourself evolve. And whatever you choose to do, I think, if you start enjoying, you certainly will be very productive, and as a bonus, you will be happy, enjoying doing what you do. In fact, when the title was actually asked for the keynote speech, I had set out something that is probably many will feel as fancy. The original title was, it sounds very funny now, what could Clayton Christensen say about agriculture and food technology for tomorrow? So Clayton Christensen actually is the one who studied the discipline of innovation for a long time, and he came out actually with very good concepts. And whatever we speak, even as shared today morning, in terms of incremental innovation and disruptive innovation were terms coined by Clayton Christensen. And today's reality is actually a lot of us would tend to think incremental innovation as something cheap and something not to be respected. Okay, actually, it is necessary for everyday existence. If we don't innovate bit by bit every day, we are dead. Okay, nobody will know us tomorrow. So it is a compulsion, it's not a choice. We have to incrementally innovate every day to stay in the game. And sometimes disruptive innovations will come. Okay, and maybe towards I finish my talk, I will give a short portion from a book I studied when I was in my BSc and did not know many things that were said in the book. I had to read repeatedly and then come back and understand. But I will come to that later. Many of you actually may have also heard about Moore's law. Moore's law was a coined term to explain that the transistor density in integrated chips will double every 2 years, right? And now actually McKinsey working with others have come back with the reverse, and they literally call it as Moore's law, which actually highlights the fact that the cost of innovation has become tremendously high, questioning the conventional way of running innovation programs. You actually have to become more cost efficient to be able to afford any product development or technology development initiatives. Because if you take just the chip development history over the 5 decades that it has taken from the time Moore's law came into force, inflation adjusted investment actually has grown 18 times in 5 decades, 18x in 5 decades, which is extremely high, right? And then people are beginning to wonder the conventional way of thinking is no longer going to be sufficient to continue to increase the density of chips. Moore's law basically has explained that if $1 billion invested in pharma research 4 decades back or 5 decades back gave anywhere from 10 to 50 products for $1 billion investment. Today, after inflation adjusted investment of $1 billion, you don't get even a single product. That is the reality. So, what is also going to be a compulsion on everybody who has the desire to innovate is to bring in additional games, additional tools into play. And one of the primary ones is AI and ML. Without those, the cost of innovation cannot be managed, and pretty soon innovation will be out the door. So that is actually one key theme I wanted to impress upon everybody. I have not spoken anything about agriculture yet. So we are in Rajanagari, and paddy is one of the key crops. And paddy is a crop with which I have been associated for the longest time. And all of us also actually may have heard in bits and pieces that the way paddy is cultivated is not good for the environment. The largest contributor from Indian agriculture to greenhouse gas emissions is paddy. The largest. Okay? And now there are multiple ways to tackle that. So people are talking about cultivation practices like direct seeded rice, alternate wetting and drying and so on. But just doing that is not going to be sufficient. And a lot of people also may have thought that actually rice as a crop itself is the culprit, because greenhouse gas emission happens through the rice plant. But the keyword is through the rice plant. It is not rice plant per se that produces methane. It is actually the subsoil bacteria which are anaerobic in nature that consume whatever organic matter comes through the root exudates and convert that into methane. These are methanogenic bacteria. So they eat whatever the plant roots give and then release methane. And most of the methane travels through the rice tissues called parenchyma. 90% is released through the plant environment. About 7-8 years back, a Swedish group in collaboration with researchers in other countries did an experiment where they expressed a transcription factor called SUSIBA2 from barley in rice. Okay, this is GM rice, just to test a hypothesis. And they demonstrated that SUSIBA2 expressed in rice plants had greatly reduced methane emissions. And then eventually further work showed that basically these plants had the ability to transport more photosynthase toward the sink, that is towards the grains, rather than a significant push towards the roots. Right? So it's basically traffic regulation. Instead of going right, all these guys are going left. And that is actually leading to dual benefit. One is increase in yield, the other is reduced fumarate. Fumarate is the primary carbon source for these methanogenic bacteria which are anaerobic under the water, under soil in paddy fields. So if fumarate is reduced, these bacteria cannot thrive. And if these bacteria don't thrive, you get reduced levels of methane. So with one technology you can get dual benefits. And the reality is, Dr. Kalpana is here, she will be able to appreciate. If you go and tell farmers you actually cultivate these varieties because methane emission will be reduced and you are going to charge a premium, no farmer is going to pay even a single rupee more for sustainability. So you have to give an additional benefit. And it is technologies like this, that is sustainability is on the target of every boardroom. So companies can derive benefits and get credit for developing sustainable products while delivering value to farmers. Then the farmers will not have any hesitation in accepting these technologies and expanding. So this actually can be, I mentioned that this is a GM crop. But now it has been shown that conventional genetics can help you in breeding for rice varieties that can actually have reduced fumarate exudation through the roots, which actually is an easy. And what they also incidentally do because of the metabolic magic that happens inside the plants is when fumarate is reduced, there is also slightly elevated levels of ethanol that is released by the root. So while reducing the food, the plant is also releasing ethanol, which most bacteria don't like. So it inhibits bacterial growth and also is not giving food. So there is a genetic approach, but a genetic approach is going to take some time to introduce into all varieties, right? Now, is there any other option? So that is actually nowadays it is becoming very difficult to separate agriculture from microbiology, food technology from microbiology. It's all interdisciplinary, and we have to work in partnering groups. There is a startup company in Bangalore with whom we are working that has developed a product called Clean Rice. Rice with R-I-S-E, not R-I-C. And this is a formulated product containing live bacteria. And this is actually called Methylococcus capsulatus. and the unique ability of sorry about that. The unique ability of this bacterium is to use methane as food for growth.